Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I think I'm having PTSD flashbacks. I've had a whole day of a child tantruming.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the worst part is I kept them home by choice to take them to their first movie.
You're such a great mom, though. And
Oh, I don't think so. It was a really, really special day. The movie itself, the time in the actual movie theater went fine. Like he was quiet, he behaved well compared to other children that were screaming. Because I do admit there were parts in Toy Story 4 that were legitimately scary. but
really? Oh
having but
no. Okay.
but having someone in the theater scream at the top of their lungs, I was like, really? And even an adult was reacting a little too loudly, and I'm just like,
Really?
honestly. But yeah, anyway, so the day is almost over, and I'm getting to talk to you. So yeah, so
So it's getting
yeah.
better, and I'm hoping too that by the time we're done this, that my kids will be asleep and I can just do my thing.
Hopefully, and I'm hoping after this I'll forget about the day.
And just so everybody knows, our husbands are watching our children while we are locked in our rooms. So
Oh, not me. I believe in unsupervised children. No one told me that that wasn't okay. No, no, no. Now he's calm. Now my kid's calm and they're snuggling watching a movie. I'm like, where the hell was this child all day long? But anyways.
well, it's like they're the cutest when they're sleeping, my dogs and children, and sometimes husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you guys so much when you're sleeping. It's like so much more elevated.
No, it's true. And then they wake up and you're like, it's gone.
You're like, why?
I have my safe in here. I got Coco in here with me. She's snuggling at my feet and sleeping. So because of that,
Oh,
she is currently my favorite. Uh,
yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna start somewhere super weird,
Okay.
super weird because it's sort of off point, I guess, of the tone of what the scene was meant to be. So
Okay.
there was a little scene this week with Drew and Alexis,
With
like
Drew.
a little
Yes.
yeah, like a little convo. She's in his office and she kind of encourages him to talk a little bit. But of all of whatever happened, of all the emotional stuff, what caught me was the fact that when Alexis was walking to her chair to sit down, before she got there, she made sure to
Mhm.
rub Drew's thigh to comfort him.
I totally didn't catch that, and
And
usually
I'm
I
just,
catch all that stuff.
yeah, you catch all the inappropriate things. And I was just like, huh, is that? Because I'm thinking you comfort someone, the shoulder touch or the little elbow touch. And I'm like, I kind of like that. If I can get away with some thigh touch when I'm comforting a hot
As
man,
comfort.
that that's something.
Oh my God, just a quick personal story. So I went out for dinner with a friend of mine last week, and at the end of the night, it was like, who's paying for the bill for dinner? And our waiter was quite handsome. And he's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be in the middle of this kind of situation. And she puts her hand on his arm and says, that's okay. Give me the bill. And then when he walked away, she looked at me like, heh, heh, heh. I was like, oh my God.
What a
I
little
thought that was,
sleaze.
and I looked at her and I'm like, noted. Challenge taken.
So tips on how to be a creepy lady.
Creepy old lady, I'm getting into that zone. It's okay. It's acceptable now.
Oh my gosh. Well, this was you know what? It does fall into the category of creepy lady. But so Alexis was just on a roll this week. We might as well just finish this one off. So, I mean, she just doesn't know when to stop,
Oh
with her
gosh,
therapist.
yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, she likes therapy. Okay. I think we all think she needs therapy.
She's in
But
love with therapy. That's what I mean.
but what was getting me during that interaction, when he was really trying to confront her, and I was trying to debate in my head, okay, well, is he being harsh? Can he just set limits? And I get it, he already did. But what was bugging me is that he's trying to tell her what's bothering him. You're pushing it, you're not respecting boundaries, and every word
Mhm.
that came out of her mouth was her pushing further into his personal life.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like, are you not seeing this? I'm like, maybe this is a therapeutic moment and you can point out what she's doing. But he had really had enough at this point.
He had enough, and then she kept blaming Diane. It's like, are you kidding me? Seriously, right now, you're saying that your friend, she brought her up a couple of times. She saw how uncomfortable Neil was getting, and she just wouldn't let up. But I was surprised that in the end, he gave in after her big proclamation of, I'm going to be a better patient.
I mean, I guess he felt bad, you know, like, because the last thing she said, and I mean, it kind of hit me too. When she said, I was like, well, that sucks. Because she walked away saying, I'll miss this. And that's,
Yeah,
it
I
was
felt
like
bad
it
too.
was a real, like, knife twist there. So hopefully she can understand what she did. But just watching it, I was like, just stop talking. Because, like you said, she went from Diane to then flipping it on him, trying to
Mhm.
psychoanalyze her therapist, which I'm he didn't really
Everybody,
appreciate too much.
yeah. It's
Uh,
like, I have a diploma. I went to school. Thank you very much for your like
right.
therapy for dummies. I really appreciate it.
I know it's like do you need legal advice right now? Because I
Imagine.
because I think it's easy to give.
Oh, that would have been
Oh my god,
funny.
that was just really awkward. And I guess ultimately maybe Christina saved her. I don't know.
Oh, big time. And Christina, for me, like, she gets my gold star of the week. And I know I pick and choose if I give like a thumbs up or a gold star, but she gets my gold star.
You mean you're not consistent in your like grading system?
No, I have like no
Okay.
specific
It's a
grading
it's a
system.
thumb, it's a star, body parts,
It's a top
celestial
10.
things.
It's like I give you 10 points. I have no idea. However, the gold star of the week goes to Christina. She really had standout moments that shows her growth and strength, and she was definitely the bridge between the two of them.
The therapist and Alexis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I admit I agree with you. Like the way she has come a long way, and I loved even how Sunny let her go off on
Mm,
Shiloh a little bit,
yes.
to stand her ground, and she was able to sort of own up to what she did. And she's been
Mm-hmm.
consistent in seeking help, which is something that even Alexis commended her for. Recognizing she needed help and actually taking that help seriously and truly working on herself. But the thing that kind of got me was the jail visit.
Yeah, that
And
was weird.
it was really weird, and I get it. Like we saw that basically that visit and the comment that Willow made about secrets being a prison in itself
Mm-hmm.
prompted her to have that scene with her mom and Neil. So we get that. We get the function of that scene. But I guess for me, I was just like, okay, so you're right. You haven't seen Willow since she basically saved you from a cult. And
Mm-hmm.
she walks in and goes, Michael told me we were here. Like, I figured I'd owed you a visit. Okay. So I like that. I
Oh
like that laugh.
gosh.
So yeah, I just thought it was a really weird thing because it kind of felt like you saved me from cult, quid pro quo, I visit you in prison. And I was like, I don't think that's even Steven. I don't know if that's so I just thought like that whole scene was just a bit weird and clumsy. Like I just felt like if Christina and Willow were to talk after everything that happened, that there would be more of a connection.
Exactly. And I wanted Christina to be in on this caper and to have an adventure. It's one thing for her to be strong and stand up for herself, but one, I want her to be involved in something. Two, what made me giggle was when Willow said exactly like what you said, like emotions or secrets can be a prison as well. But I think Willow has a skewed concept of like actual murder, actual prison. Like they're they're quite
Oh, like
different.
she exaggerates a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people would argue that secrets are not like real prison. So, I think her mom would have something different to say about that. But yeah, so that was a really, I don't know. Like I said, it could have been a little meatier between the two of them.
Same. I agree.
So I guess you had a gold star moment, but the stalker moment goes to Shiloh, who won't let Brad walk away.
Oh my goodness. And that little Wiley, that cute little sweet face, he just
He's
knows exactly what's going on all the time.
right. He's so on point. And even like one of the pictures I posted, he looked very annoyed. Like, get me away from my fake real dad. Okay. 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 First fake dad. Get me away from my second fake dad. Okay. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like Brad, just yell. or scream. Like, I don't know. Like, you're in a public place, and I just feel like away.
Walk
Walk
around
away,
him.
like
You can walk,
sooner.
like around. No, you have to walk like through them, or
Oh
like
my gosh. But
that's
man, Shiloh really knows how to like grate at
yes.
people. Like, I mean, well, for the audience, for me personally, like I was losing my crap during that interaction. Like I was getting so angry, especially the fact that it's like a parent holding their child and you're
Yes.
holding them both prisoner right there. But then like so after all of my frustration, I have to say I kind of laughed because like when I saw like Shiloh hold the rag at first I was
Mm-hmm.
like no, and then I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Like,
I know.
you know.
So I felt the same. My immediate reaction was like, "Oh crap, here we go." And I'm like, "Wait a second, it's not going to show anything anyways. Test it all you want, my friend."
Exactly. So then I kind of laugh because I feel like it's like as the audience and for
Mm-hmm.
anybody rooting against Shiloh at this point, it's kind of the only win. And I get it. It's a piss off for anybody who really wants Michael to have his baby as quickly as possible. But I think
Yes,
you and I knew from the start that this would be kind of like a long-term thing. So
definitely.
I'm not like even now that everything is sort of unraveling, I'm not really holding my breath.
Same. Like I liked, Friday really put segments together in terms of like harmony and where she stood and what she knew and her knowledge and the waitress and all of these pieces together, and it's building it to like this big Shiloh takedown. But I know it's not going to be that simple, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a good point what you were just saying though. Like the fact that you're pointing to a Shiloh takedown. And if Shiloh has been taken down, again, the whole Wiley thing is a moot point and he remains protected. So
True.
that's what I mean. I just don't really think I don't know if Michael's really gonna get his baby anytime soon. Or like
Oh,
over the summer. I don't know, but that's just what I think. Like I'm just sort of like for me, like it doesn't bug me. Like I'm not in a rush for that. Because it's a
no.
two in one, right? It's a two in
Right.
one. You have the Shiloh element on its own, and then you have like Michael in the background. It's kind of like after all this time, we heard him talk about Jonah only like last week. So it is possible that he'll be like maybe reunited over the summer, but I don't know if it'll be like quick.
Exactly. I don't think it'll be quick, and I think part of me doesn't want it to be so fast, even though I want to
Yeah, me
see them
neither.
reunited, because that means Willow will know the truth. And she's gone through so
Oh,
much, and to have that devastating news, and for her to, she's already been going through the idea of losing her son, but actually knowing that he's dead is just like, I can't. I feel so much for Willow that I don't want to see that part. I'm not looking
I
forward to what that
know.
means on this
But
flip side.
what a good build-up though, right? Because all this
Yeah.
time we weren't really thinking about this. It's like, oh, Willow's the mother of the baby, but then it's like we almost forgot what was happening,
Yes.
that she was being built up to kind of fall in the end. And I feel like that's just gonna add on, because now that you're saying it, I feel like it's really gonna add on to like what Brad is gonna have to face too. So it's not just that,
True.
but having to deal with the fact that he led someone to believe that their child was alive too. So I mean, it really adds a lot of layers and a lot of different anger, emotion, sadness, and a lot to what he'll have to face, because they've had enough interactions for Willow to kind of take Brad on her own too, and
Well,
have like a confrontation.
what's kind of similar to what we were thinking about with the Ryan Kevin story. Like, even though Ryan was the murderer, but Kevin kept him alive. And we wanted to see how his world and his life and relationships would change based
Mm-hmm.
on his decision. So now, like, I can't wait to see how it's going to unfold for Brad. Like what's going to happen
Yeah.
with him and Lucas, what's going to happen with Willow, Michael, all of these people. And he's tied to some really, like, Wiley's tied to some really important people. So,
Oh, I have something to say about that, because it's not just Wiley that's tied to some significant characters. But before we
mm-hmm,
talk about that, I just want to say, like, we were just talking about how, um, like, Shiloh might be going down, or there is going to be a takedown. And so
mm-hmm.
this is interesting. So Cinnamon Deb said, I think we're building up to Shiloh's murder and a whodunit.
Whoa, my brain didn't even go there because I just figured we wanted him to rot in jail, but I'd like to see him
Right?
6 feet under. That's all right too.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because, like, I mean, he is a good villain.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, like, if he stayed, I wouldn't mind him being a villain and in a different kind of context. And, like, what would that look like if he stuck around as a villain? So, yeah, that's interesting because that's a possibility too. Because
It,
he's crossing a lot of people and more information is coming out. And anyways, as we'll talk about later, like even Harmony is starting to come around on him. But what I wanted to say about powerful people is
Hmm.
that they drop the whole story that Brad actually comes from a mafia family.
Oh, I vaguely remember this.
Right? So like in my head I'm thinking I hate that they skipped over that whole thing. They totally skipped over this dilemma because I remember he couldn't marry Lucas because he
Hmm.
was already married to
Oh
this nurse
yes.
and the girl that was with Michael. And they didn't really reveal the secret reason that they needed to stay married. And then out of nowhere, Alexis managed to get the divorce between them without there being like any sort of danger. And that's what we were led to believe. And
Hmm.
so it's just, it's just funny because when I think about that concept of him coming from like a mafia family and him running to Julian and scared of Sonny, it's just like, I don't know. You're not exactly alone. You you got other people, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I guess he doesn't have those resources. But I mean, that would be an interesting storyline to pick up on. Like when they said that, I thought that was going to be like a competing mob family. And then, anyways, but that didn't really happen.
No,
So,
and
so yeah, so that was a really great ending to
that
my
was such a
thought.
good story. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. A better ending than this was maybe Scott. I guess it came around
Oh
to like a better ending
my. I
than
don't
what he
even
did.
I don't even know. All I keep thinking what was like echoing in my head was the shoe. What do you call it? An old shoe?
Yeah, I
Or a
know this doesn't.
comfortable
I
shoe?
know this doesn't make it any better, but I was like, I thought he was referring to himself as the old shoe, but I don't think that helps anything.
I don't think anybody should be a shoe, a comfortable couch, a comfortable sweater. Your person should not be like sweaty or something you put on or like stinky.
Yeah,
Like I
he
don't
was
know.
proposing comfort, basically.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that. That should be our thing, our title of our podcast.
Oh yes, great. Now I don't have to rack my brain later. No, totally. But yeah, I was just. But the thing is, at one point, even though the whole thing was like bad, and we can blame Scott for that, he just sort of
Yes.
lost it. But then when like Bobby kind of trapped him by going like, "Well, you never said you loved me," and then it turns out she doesn't love him either. So it's just like, why are you adding that on? And I mean, I get it. Marriage should be about love, but anyways, I was like, are you trapping him because you don't love him either?
I think she wanted to prove a point and shake him out of his weird midlife crisis. We
I
have
don't
history,
know.
so let's have
Yeah,
that.
but it's not a midlife crisis. It's an Ava crisis.
I
It's an
know.
Ava
That's what
won't
I
look at me that way
honestly,
crisis.
yes, I think so too. But you know what completely weirded me out? And I don't know how we haven't talked about it, or maybe we did and I've forgotten because I am getting older. So when Franco and Scott are in the room together and they're sitting there, and Franco did say, it sounds like you're describing Ava, but
Yes,
Franco was also with Ava. And
yes,
Scott is in love with Ava. And it never,
yes.
ever dawned on me until that moment. And I was like,
Yeah, a father-son duo. Well, it wouldn't be the first time. There was Morgan and Sonny.
I know, but I was just like,
It's gross.
I couldn't.
No, but it hit me like literally for the first time this week when I was just
Okay,
like,
you too. Okay,
oh,
good.
okay. Because like Franco knows who she's talking about, and obviously like he's supporting it. Yeah, but it was like a long time ago.
I
I don't
know, but it was like
like,
making the connection between, like you said, she slept with Sunny, she slept with Morgan, she was with
yeah,
Franco a long time ago, and then there's going to be this new love interest, Scott, is what I'm thinking. But it's like it's kind of her thing. It's either like really psycho killer, which is part Franco, part Kevin slash father son type duo.
oh,
Ava needs therapy from an actual therapist like Neil, because when she was in therapy before, it was with fake therapist Kevin. No, Ryan, who's
are you
pretending to be
saying
Kevin.
that fake therapy isn't effective? Is that
I,
what
I
you're
think
getting
I think all that garble and somewhat words, yes, that is what I was trying to say.
at? Oh my god! But anyways, I just thought it was really funny how like Carly was so grossed out about this whole thing, but like she calls Bobby on her crap though.
Yes, I
When she's
loved
all
that
like,
part.
what? You don't think how to find love? She's like, well, you're not doing anything about it. Like you're saying you want this, but like, who are you dating? Like, who are you seeking out? And so I'm just laughing because she obviously doesn't want her mom to Scott, although she would
Yes.
never ever get in the way. But her speech inadvertently is what is kind of led Bobby to be open to the date.
I know, with Scott to the wedding. That's like a big first date.
It is, but I mean, like Scott pointed out, they have history, and she said she thinks of him that way sometimes. But this makes a lot more sense. Like when Franco was like, "I didn't tell you to propose marriage." He's like, "Why'd you just ask her for coffees?" I thought that was so hilarious. It's like, what is happening right
Dang.
now? But I just love the dirty look that Carly gave to him.
She's the best. She's got those looks down.
Oh my gosh, yes. Today I was like online and I saw somebody put together this like montage of her slapping people, but I really wish I could see the faces that she was slapping because I'm like I couldn't recognize some
The
of
back
them.
of the
I'm like,
heads.
man, she slapped quite a bit of people and she puts like her whole body into it. I was like, ouch for anybody on the other side of that. Oh my god. So speaking of Carly this week, it was an interesting moment when like Jax called her.
Yes. Okay, so Jax is so excited, and the first person he calls is Carly. And Carly doesn't want
Right.
to share this big personal thing because, yeah, I know there's that strife. Like, it's weird. Obviously, it's your ex-husband,
Well, I think
and
she's
you're
maybe
sad.
I think she's recognizing the boundaries, and then for a split second, and again, I don't place any blame on Jax in terms of like it bugs me when everyone's always like warning him, like don't do anything to
Hmm.
provoke Sunny. But then when I was like, he was all, "Let's go by the water and have some
I
fun tonight."
know.
I'm like, maybe that's what they're talking about. Like maybe that's what they're warning him against. But yeah, it was just really interesting because I mean, I guess they're friends,
Yes,
but
but your
it's
pregnant
intense.
ex-wife, you want to take her out to her favorite restaurant out by the water. I really thought he was going to drive over to the house and make her say
Me
what was
too.
wrong.
Me
And I was
too.
like, oh, and then I thought Sunny was going to walk in, and then like, oh, heck was going to break loose.
I was actually a little surprised that she didn't tell him. I thought she was going to tell him, and when she didn't, I thought he was going to come. But I'm wondering, I think maybe I'm having a change of heart over the baby situation. Because at first I kept
Hmm.
going, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like they have so much going on. They already have like a billion kids. What
Hmm.
is the point of this storyline? And then I started thinking, over the past while, the drama for like the Corinthos family has been a lot less about mob related things and a lot more just about their personal life. And when they
True.
started to have the conversation about the Special Olympics and all the donations and then having to face it and watching them be scared, like watching Carly be scared. And, Sunny is trying to be the rock and like telling her we have the resources, then talking about the possibility of having a child with special needs. And we don't really know the outcome. Just watching that conversation alone and really feeling it, like feeling the reality of, having to go through all of these thoughts. And I was like, was, maybe that is it. Like, maybe that is the storyline. Like, the way that we got to see, a family dealing with a relative with Alzheimer's and having that be portrayed on TV. Like maybe that's the point of this storyline. That it's really just like to have like a depiction on screen, like to tell the story of what this would
Hmm.
be like. Because I feel like those are the stories that the Corinthos family has been telling. I wonder,
That's
I don't
true. It
know.
is. I'm thinking the same thing, and it shows that Sunny can be strong, and that because Carly's always there for him, like a lot of focus in terms of his mental health and
Mm-hmm.
obviously the career that he's chosen. And there's a lot of difficult times that she's always there for him. And Carly is very strong, and she can manage all of her stuff on her own. But in this situation, and because she's the mom and she's growing the baby, and you feel a sense of responsibility of taking care of your baby as if you may have done something wrong, and she didn't, and he's just showing his strength, and it
Yeah.
solidifies their bond and their relationship. And it is really cool to see, but especially like you said, seeing them walk through the situation, like with Mike, like with the Alzheimer's, you just get so drawn into because these are real
Exactly.
conversations.
Exactly. It's real. And I guess for me, the moment she was pregnant, I was looking for the soap opera dramatic reason as to why.
Same,
But then when I
same.
saw the scene this week, I was like, oh, that in itself was, enough. Like that in
It was
itself
fulfilling.
was, yeah, it was, I was drawn in and I go, maybe it isn't about like a dramatic soap story. Like maybe it's really just story.
I think so too. I'm leaning towards that.
Anyways, that's what I'm thinking on that front. But their house is like far from calm. I am kind of happy that Carly realizes that there's tension with Joss and Dev in the house.
I do, and I like that. I like that Carly likes Dev, likes how he's pushing her in a sense, getting her out of her comfort zone. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love Dev. Like, I adore the energy and the chemistry that he brings to everybody.
So, okay, so now what do you think? Because in today's episode, Trina comes in. So now we got to force them all together. And we've actually, this is the second interaction we've seen with Dev and Ken. And I kind of like it. It's super respectful. Dev was super flirting with Trina. He
Oh
was
yeah.
encouraging Cam and Joss. So the worries we had about this love triangle, I'm not sure. So it's kind of hard to tell because we sort of see like hints of pairing off. But then when you have like Joss in his face, like in Dev's face, you start to wonder, well, is this a friend thing or is this like building up to something more? And then you have Trina outside with Cam saying, I'll go with you to the wedding. So at first I was like, okay, we have our friend group. I don't think Dev
Hmm.
is going to get in the way of anything with Cam because we all kind of assumed he'd be sort of the next future love interest when Joss is ready. But then the
Yes.
way that it kind of ended, I don't know now.
I think that Trina's always been a really good friend to Cam, though, and I think that's how it's always going to stay. Like when they have the room together, like she always seems to be there
The
when
friend.
Cam, yes, the good friend, but there's definitely no vibe. It's just somebody he can trust.
So
And
my
then I feel this. Sorry, go ahead.
so the original vibes sort of still stand with the like, you know, Cam Joss figuring things out and Dev pushing and telling, saying like Cam don't let her off the hook, and like the vibe with like Trina and Dev like flirty.
Yes, like I think Dev
Okay.
will help them get together, help Cam and Joss get together in a sense because he
Aw.
was sort of pushing that. Like, why don't you go to the wedding? Why don't you have fun? Like, are you scared to have fun? He was pushing them to be together. And then I love like it was such a they paused on the scene where like Dev and Trina were like literally checking each other out. I thought it was so cute.
Oh, it was so adorable. It was so adorable. I really, really liked it. I thought it was so funny watching that scene.
They're a good foursome, and I'm looking forward to Joss kind of taking an opportunity to have fun. And I think maybe even Carly might push a little bit in that sense, like, hey, why don't you guys go out? Why don't you guys do something? She already started that with like take him to the park, show him around, and that eventually she'll loosen up and we'll see the four of them interact more. I really want to see that over the summer.
I think we will. I think we're getting there. The fact that they showed them in a scene, all four of them together, I think
I
that'll happen.
agree.
And I love how like Michael sort of stumbles upon a relative. He stumbles upon
Oh
Dev
my
just to
gosh,
like, hey,
so funny.
oh my god.
Okay, but did you think that Joss's reaction to Michael was a little excessive?
I think it's excessive because of what Trina said.
Good point.
Because like her reasoning isn't like a solid one. You know what I mean? Like when you're not solid or you're unsure or you're scared, your rationale is also like I find scattered. And that's what Trina was like. She's afraid to have fun. And so she's pushing back
Okay,
and
that's
she's
a good
pushing
point.
back. And so that's why I feel like her brain is scattered because I don't know if she's aware of what it is that she's doing. She's because she's scared. She's not ready and she's just scared.
Hmm.
So like her response is just all over the place because I think that is what's sort of her reaction when he asks of that. She's just afraid of taking that step and doing something like that.
Okay, good point.
So I
But yeah,
do think it was exaggerated the way she was referencing what Michael was doing, and I think it's just like a product of that.
getting back to what you were saying before, Michael stumbling upon a family member, I love the ease. Like Michael is just so he just goes with the flow. He's just like, oh, okay, hey, nice to meet you. Then he goes straight to his dad. So what's really happening right now?
Exactly. He knows exactly what's going on. But I loved Brick's interpretation of what Sunny was doing because I was sort of
Yes.
thrown in a happy way when Sunny said, "Well, I'm just," because he's like, "Are you gonna like put him to work?" And he was like, "No, I'm
Mm.
gonna give him an education. Like I'm gonna put him in
Oh,
school." And I was just so like, "Wow," because I'm like, "You're keeping him." so
yes.
so we're keeping him past the summer, and so that was really interesting. And like how he felt that he identifies with Dev, and the fact that Brick is saying, "Is this your do over?"
Oh,
And I
when he
thought
said
that was
that,
so
oh,
cool. I thought it was a really cool interpretation that he made. That this is like a
I
mini Sunny.
exactly. And we said though when we saw him the first time that he looks quite similar. We talked last week about, potentially could this be, actually a member of his family. I like the idea that it is a do-over and that Sonny wants to give him the opportunities that he didn't have and that he does see potential in him because it's showing that, he believes in himself. He made a success of himself and he wants to help someone.
Yes, and I think that you can have a mini me and you can have all those similarities, you can have the do-over, and I don't necessarily think it has to be his blood.
Oh no, I
Because I think
100%
that's
agree.
yeah, I just think that's what makes it all the more meaningful. Like
Yes,
it adds weight to when he says I'm paying a debt. And
absolutely.
doing a lot more than that. So what did you think of his I guess cousin Gladys or his dad's cousin, second cousin. I have no idea.
But she just had a lot of the fact that she asked for more money and she's like, I know who you are. I was just like, wow,
Right. I thought she had
wow.
principles because she was all like, no, no. And then she wanted more. And I'm like, I don't know. That envelope looks really fat. And when he pulled out of his wallet, yeah, like they're hundreds, but I'm like, is it really all that much more than what he gave you? And that's
Right?
swaying you just like a couple, like a few couple bills. You know what I mean? It's like he gave her double the stack or double the payment. He just took out what was in his wallet and gave it to her. She's like, that's sufficient to lodge the government, like and go to jail for you. I was like, you're special. But I like that it's always fun to see Sunny be Sunny, like in certain scenes. So like how
Hmm.
he can negotiate, he tried to get what he wanted and he did get it, but then when he sort of threatened her at the end, it's like
Yes.
the way he flips like in his eyes and his facial expression, I think is like really always really fun to see.
Well, it's kind of how Carly flips too, or Ava specifically. Like she has this like
It's
evil look, and she
true.
could go nice. They all have this really neat way of turning it on and off for their character. And then Sunny, he always says something evil and then smiles, and then those dimples come out. And you're just like, oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, speaking of dimples, Shiloh's lawyer could not get enough of those. I loved watching her react to Sunny. It was just so, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it made me feel like she must be a real fan. Like she must actually like him and wanted a scene. Like, and she was lucky enough to have a scene with him and was a little bit in awe.
I don't know. I think she's just a great actress. It's very
Well, that
possible
too,
that
of
she's
course.
fanning out as well. But I just thought I really liked it, and I just think it's funny because I like that she's representing Shiloh, but I like that she sees right through him. Like she knows who her client is. She can't really be manipulated, and I like that
Hmm.
she's having fun with things that she sees pisses him off.
Yes,
Like
same, and that's why I like her.
and she doesn't really, she remains like she can't be influenced. She's a lawyer and she's putting herself first
Well,
in that situation, and it must be creepy. Like I'm like dying to know, like as his lawyer, what she thinks when she watches him. Because she knows already he's using Wiley as a pawn, and that he's thinking of like Wiley and Willow as objects.
okay, but what about when Christina stood up to him, and then when she left, she's like, she would be a really compelling witness.
Yeah,
I started
yeah,
laughing.
yeah, because she says absolutely nothing that he wants to hear.
What would be interesting is that if she stayed on a little bit, or even if she made appearances here and there, but that she wrote a tell-all about her experience and her thoughts about Shiloh.
That would be so good.
Yeah,
That
right?
would be so good. I love that idea. I love that idea because I love lawyer type novels. And so if they
Mm-hmm.
actually wrote one and she like going into the case and going into like all the witnesses, I like it because it's very focused. It's not like a
Yes.
fantasy GH, but it's definitely more focused. Oh wow, I love that idea. Hear it, someone. I'm not a
Please.
writer, so I can't write it. So I don't feel so bad about giving away this this idea. But yeah, no, I think that would be really, really interesting.
Yes.
So, speaking of hot, which we were not, but we want to. Um, so Jason, as a lawyer, I love that he walked into a prison pretending to be an officer of the
Isn't
court.
he? But isn't he still in hiding?
Yeah, yep, he's in hiding.
Hiding in plain sight as a sexy lawyer. I'm okay with that.
Right? I guess nobody recognizes him, like, would recognize him in a suit because he's not like in a black
Black
t-shirt
t-shirt.
ready
He's
to
in a
murder
black.
with a gun
A,
in his hand. He's like, I don't recognize you without a gun in your hand.
you're a nice, upstanding citizen.
Yeah, but he was like so lawyery, and I loved how she's like, "You're not gonna turn me against Shiloh." And he's like, "Did he visit you? Did he send
I
you a lawyer?"
know.
And he like broke her. I loved it. I love that he was able to get through to her. I guess being in prison also helped to make her more amenable to his facts
But
of her
it
life.
did. He and I mean, Jason has had so many experience with lawyers and hearing them speak and get the information that they need. But it also felt like some sort of pause in life that even if he was a quartermain, maybe he wouldn't have been a doctor and followed suit with everybody else. Maybe he would have been a lawyer.
I think he would have made a better lawyer than a
Oh,
doctor.
1000%. So it was really neat to kind of see a part of what he could have been, a part of who he
It's
is,
true.
and how that all comes to be. And yeah, you totally
Ooh.
broke her. I didn't think that would happen, but when she started, like, you can actually, like, kudos to her for being an excellent actress, because you could actually see when the events impacted her and when she was thinking back to what happened. Like, I was so in that scene.
I am with you. I am so with you. But I got super excited because you talked about like how it was like a glimpse of Jason in perhaps another life. And I just thought it was really interesting
Yes.
that we see these scenes in the same episode that Brick talks about a do-over.
Yes. When you said that, it gave me goosebumps, because I was like, yes, that's a very good point. And when you're a very involved fan, not crazy, but just very attentive and a longtime fan, you pick up on all these little things, and it makes it even more exciting. And as you say that, a couple of other things come to mind. So we haven't addressed either that the Beecher's Corners cop came to Port Charles, and lo and behold, Michael walks into the police station. And everybody's like, Michael would never do that. Michael played the innocent role very well, made the cop look very ridiculous. And then we had a glimpse of Chase and how his morals are now becoming flexible.
I loved that scene so much, and we're forgetting about like my favorite person in that whole scene, and that was Mac. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, you are so badass. And he like takes no crap, and he made the guy feel stupid. And the best part is like what's different than before, where Mac had this sort of like crusade against Sonny. And I mean, that's the point. Like anybody who's commissioner, like you want to put people in jail. Like you want to,
Right?
you don't want to be made to be a fool. But he's had so many years living in the gray area, doing other things and not being a cop. And then to have him
Right.
back, I find he's way more mellow about it, because he flat out knew that they were lying. like at the end when he comes to them, like for well, actually no, he didn't know that they were lying. I didn't know that Michael was just gonna like spew everything out like that.
I
I
know.
was like, Michael, you're in a police station. Why are you telling the truth? Like, why are you telling the police commissioner that you in fact committed that crime? That's
Well, that
not
you,
smart criming.
right, that you committed the crime, and one, you're hanging your friend out to dry who just, like, put his neck on the line to give you an
Right?
alibi.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that Billy guy walk right in, like, dun, 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 I was like, oh my God, I'm so disgusted already and super annoyed that you're there. And the fact that you thought you were
Right?
so important, like, my favorite scene was when he was like, oh, I'm going to call the FBI. I'm like, really? Like, they don't even probably don't even know what Beecher's Corners even is. And then when Max shoves the phone and he's like, go ahead,
I was like, that's
make
so hot.
my day. The whole thing was amazing. And I mean, it's so cute because like Chase like desperately wants to like cross lines and do bad things,
Yeah.
but it's like he's like baby stepping it. He's like, I was with him at the gym. It's just like, how does that? It doesn't help anything. Like, I don't know. Michael was gonna get away with it. There was no cameras at the Beacher's Corner, like where
Right.
they were. They established that. No ID, no fingerprints. Like, we didn't need it. But I love that he was testing the waters of what it felt like. And
Definitely.
poor, poor Chase. Like, he definitely has like a case of FOMO, because it's like, because like Michael's all like, Chase, you focus on the law. Everyone else, everyone else but you, will handle Wiley. Like, everyone, like, it's just, I felt so bad for him. It's so lonely because he's the only one trying to work on the side of the law. And
Right.
everyone else is just like, yeah, cross lines and we're working together. How you doing over there, Chase? Like, I just
you
felt
keep
so
you keep
bad.
upholding that law.
Yeah, it isn't working and it's not helping matters. But yeah, it's really funny, and I kind of like seeing him how like expressing loyalty to Michael, because they're buddies.
I agree. I love seeing them together. It makes my
Buddies.
heart happy.
Yeah, and okay, I love Jordan, I do, and I think it's
Hmm.
great that she got made commissioner. But I really love Mac as commissioner right now. I love because you know what we've been talking about a lot is needing to use these legacy characters, and all of a
Yes.
sudden we get like Mac as commissioner, we get Robert as the DA, and I was dying because like you know I
Hmm.
don't like knowing spoilers ahead of time, but I think I
Yes.
had read somewhere or found out
Hmm.
that he was gonna be like DA, and I was just dying because I literally just mentioned it to Johnny, and I didn't think it was gonna be happening in the very scene we were watching, and then all the
Okay.
little bits I was saying he was repeating, like the governor. I went to law school. And Laura's like, what? And I found twice this week
Hmm.
Laura played the role of the audience because she
Yes.
sat there with Robert being like, "You think you know someone? I had no idea you were a lawyer or knew the governor." And then she finds out he's getting to be DA. So I kind of like that we're using these characters. And the second time I found that Laura was really acting as the audience was during her conversation with Cam.
Oh, that Cam, that sweetie. So glad that Laura had that conversation with him. It was important and it was necessary, and I wish they went a little bit further.
What in what way?
Well, she talked about the fact of losing a father figure, and I want to get more into Cam's story. Like we said, we want to see him grow. We want to see him potentially get an internship with Drew, but we also need to know a little bit more about his past. Only when you mentioned his dad that I remembered who it was because you reminded me.
Okay, so listen to this. Sincerely Too said, I think it's time for Cameron to meet someone from his dad's side of the family so he can get to know a little more about who his father was and his dad's side of the family because Elizabeth never talks about his real dad, even though Xander is dead. Because, like, I feel like he was
Yes.
so young when it happened, and soon after,
Mm-hmm.
Lucky came in. And we forget that Cam was also close with Rick.
Rick, yes,
Yeah, so
that's
he was
true.
he was close with Rick as well. But yes, when she said this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you know what? I never even freaking thought about this." You know, like because we know that his dad's dead, but like
Yes.
and then it started to make me think because I remember when he got shot, his father
Mm-hmm.
was there. His because there was like a standoff with the police and his father was there,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I remember, I think he was like a psychologist maybe. So I don't remember if his dad is like if like Xander's dad is still alive or what happened shortly after
Okay.
that. But yeah, I think that would be really interesting.
I think so too. And talking about pop up relatives, so I would like for somebody from Camp's past so he can just see a little bit more outside of his world and understand the other side of his family. But then we also had that interesting situation with Jordan's mother in law, which at the moment, why is her name escaping me?
Stella.
Stella, and that whole DNA test, and to figure out who she's related to. Like they kind of played on that a couple of times.
I know. I'm excited about that. Like I said, I'm really excited to see the Ashford family grow and
Hmm.
just wanting to know like what that means for the person coming in and who they're going to be connected. I find that like super super exciting. But yeah, I just think that Laura handled the conversation really well and I think what makes it a lot easier for her is that it's not her kid, so there's not that like wall, but at
Yes.
the same time she was really honest. She like allowed him to say what he said and didn't like put him down for saying things that sound bad but were true.
Hmm.
She validated everything that he was saying. Cause like, you know, of course Elizabeth's not gonna want to hear it. I get it. You know, she's with
Hmm.
Franco. She's not gonna want to kind of say or admit these things, but he kind of needed to hear that. And having someone just listen and validate, because it doesn't change anything. Like the past was your past. This is exactly what happened. And she said, everything you're saying is true. Now, the question is it helpful to you to hold on to things the way that you are?
It was very key, and especially the part two about how your relationship with your parents is always changing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's never going to really stay the same, and that Laura herself had a difficult relationship with Leslie at times, but in the end, she loves her unconditionally and all of that. So, yeah, I think that was a talk that Cameron really needed, and it came from the right person.
In terms of Elizabeth that day, her hair looks great that way. I don't know what it was, but her look on that day was really great.
Maybe she was testing out wedding hair.
Maybe. But you know, okay, I want to know this. Okay, so is what they were doing with Franco and Cam normal, like how it always is? or did you feel like they were playing it up? Because like I mean, I do get it. It is up and down. Like every time even me as an audience member watches it, I'm like, "Oh, I thought they were good." Like he'll get attitude from Cam and I'm like, "Didn't they just have a good talk? Didn't Cam just say that he forgives?" Like it is confusing, but I was wondering, were they playing it up at Charlie's, or no, this is sort of the up and down of their relationship?
I feel like that we're playing it up for a couple of reasons to show the up and downs of just being a teenager and that things can change on a dime and depending on the mood he's in and what he's gone through. And I also think that it's the big buildup for potentially, Cam making a speech to Franco at the reception or like this
Okay.
heartwarming, loving moment afterwards.
Because that makes sense, because it's like I know things are challenging, but it's because it wasn't just even at Charlie's, it was even the comment he made to Scott earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want Cam
Take
to?
him.
And I thought that was super funny. Oh, but okay, so okay, about Scott actually real quick. So
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Volrath said maybe Ava will get jealous when she finds out Scott proposed to Bobby.
Oh, 1000%. That is
You think
exactly
so?
what is going to happen. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know. Because like I just feel like she's acting like he's really not on her radar, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's a little exaggerated, Ava doing that.
I think that she's acting like Ava doesn't have many friends, and we know that she doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know how to have
That's
friends, much
true.
less a man as a friend. So for her, he's always just going to be around. She doesn't need to do anything to put on her act to be that Ava character. But when she sees them, maybe she'll see them right before the wedding reception, or maybe she is going to the wedding reception, and maybe she'll see a giggle, grazing hands, a handhold, a kiss on the cheek, and that will kind of amp things up for her.
I hope so, because I think the idea of Scotty and Ava would be awesome. Kat's Rule said the same thing. She was, I love Scotty, but I would love to see him with Ava. Because at first I was thinking, okay, if him and Bobby were together, it plays into this whole like make use of our legacy characters and do something with them. But I don't know. Like Bobby said, like the love really wasn't there, and they will go on this date. It hadn't worked out in the past. He did cheat on
Mm-hmm.
her. So we'll see how it goes, but I just think that there's so many more like sparks with Ava.
Same.
Okay, so one thing this week, they made an Anna reference.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about her.
So they made an Anna reference, and I was dying, because it's like, because the whole point was she went to go visit her sister in prison. So it's like that
Yes.
doesn't really take all summer. So when they made that little comment being like, Alex escaped, I'm like, of course Alex escaped from the super
Mm-hmm.
high security prison. You put the most dangerous people. So yeah, so that just sort of extends her little trip. But I just loved when Finn was talking to Chase about it, and Finn was saying, but Anna feels that she has to go after her sister. And then Chase like, I get it. It's a sibling thing. I'm just laughing. Like,
Oh,
I'm
he's
like,
so
oh, you're
cute.
such a little sweetie. And okay, so my
Mm-hmm.
favorite moment of that breakfast. Okay, so I love, like I said, I really love Finn really mingling in with people and
Yes.
how he went over, and it was really cute talking to Jordan. And I loved how Jordan responded to Curtis all up in like when he was like in his suit and everything.
Oh
Make sure your
my.
colleagues know you're married. And I was just like,
Yeah, because
that was so cute.
when he stood up, I was like, "Oh, what is happening right now?"
Right? I have to say, like, I was very much taken with him in the suit, but then I became
Mm-hmm.
super annoyed with him at Crimson.
Oh my god, seriously, right? My emotions went from like, and then he was going through the drawer, and then he was doing that annoying noise thing. Like I couldn't handle it.
I was really irritated, and I was kind of annoyed that he found files,
Me too.
because I don't know how Jax knows Cassandra Pierce or about Cassandra Pierce. I don't know if that is just research.
Like in my mind, it's because she's associated to Valentine. So it's
Right.
all people that surrounds Valentine is who he had research on. So I didn't think it was a bad thing. I don't want Jax to be placed in that role of like being the bad guy or having a connection or having some underlying big dark motive.
Exactly. I just don't want Valentine to be right or justified. And again, it's just
Hmm.
the whole thing is just rubbing me the wrong way, because I just feel like I basically agree with Jordan,
Yeah.
and I think that he's just on the wrong side on this one.
I agree too.
Those are my thoughts.
I have one last thought. Do you have more
What
thoughts?
I don't have like a specific thought, but I do love these history lessons. I love that we have listeners who kind of like give us a little bit of information that I wasn't aware of. So at Thomas JM 1227 gave us a little bit of a background on Robert, because he also loves that like Robert is back and sort of working with Mac. So basically he's letting us know that when he started watching in 1981, that was when Robert teamed up with Luke and Laura to stop Mykonos Cassadine from freezing the world.
Whoa, that's a serious mission.
Yeah, so they go way back, him and Laura.
I
So
love
he
that.
so he's saying, okay, so Robin and Laura are great as friends. So I think he's trying to tell us like, because he kind of asked her out to the nurses' ball.
Right, that's true. But they're just buds. We're good.
Yeah, I think so. So what was your last thought?
Well, my last thought is just a super cute scene that stuck out to me. You know how much I love Sam and Jason. They're completely adorable. But
Oh, right.
when they were in their house, in the like getaway house, and they were in their jogging pants, because you know how much I love like those normal scenes. So they're both in their jogging pants.
That's
They're
what
being
was striking about it, wasn't
super,
it?
yes, and they're
Yeah.
super cute. She was just like in a normal, like that's what I wear to go to bed sometimes, jogging pants and a black shirt. And she's like, she loves it when one of them are a fugitive, and just the banter of them being totally cute in their jogging pants having breakfast, but she's harboring a fugitive, and the fact that they can banter and be cute about it and still be all lovey-dovey, and he throws her on the bed, and I was like, he's got a damn good job.
Yeah. And I think he like, and at one point he like leans into her because he wanted to like go with her or something.
Yes.
And she's like, you can't. He's like, make me. And I was just like, okay, okay. But Sam, she just looked beautiful in that
Yes.
scene. And I realized later it's because everything, like you said, was really stripped down and very real. And they were in joggers and they were just very cute. Everyday life, but with the extreme topic of conversation.
Yes, you gathered my thoughts beautifully as you always do.
Okay, I lied. There is one thing I wanted to mention.
Go for it.
Poor Peter. He's in a just losing battle. The poor guy's at the Metro Court between Maxi and Lulu. One, he
Oy.
tries to put his foot down with Lulu, and then inevitably she always gets her way. And he's like, wait a minute, that's dangerous. Okay, fine, whatever, do what you want. Maxi, I never agreed to help you. Okay, fine, I guess I'm doing whatever it is that you want. And I'm like, I don't think he knows that, like, there is no putting your foot down. like like
No.
I was just laughing. I was just watching with that scene and I'm like, poor guy, you have like no idea what you're in for.
No, and he's just such a sweet little puppy, and he just wants to make sure everybody's happy. And they were talking, I love the conversation about
About
best
best
friends.
friends.
Yes, best friend is a tear. It
Yeah,
totally
I
is.
actually love that line. And so I guess he feels like if I'm your best friend, then I guess I should ignore everything I thought about why this
Oh
is not a good
gosh.
idea. So I find that super hilarious.
Very cute. This week was an awesome week, and I look forward to see what the heck is going to happen with this baby and Shiloh and all the rest.
Me too. Oh, and before we go, we want to wish everybody a happy 4th and to the Canadians a happy first. No, it's a happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day. That is the
I'm gonna do that
perfect way
again.
to end it. This is so
No,
us.
no,
You're
no, no,
not
no, no,
editing
no.
this.
I am editing this out. Okay, so happy Canada Day and happy 4th of July. Right?
Woo woo. Yes.
Okay, okay, got it. Bye.
Bye, y'all.